So someone with the nighttime increasing reflective, they may need to get experiences and have a vast number of experiences of how people do things or don't things, what's right or wrong. Whereas the Taurus, Cancer, Virgo, the daylight increasing signs, they won't want to. They're not going to want to see how other people did it so much. They want to see how they can do it better, or how they can do it, or how they can express. So how I can express, how I'm going to write, how I'm going to drive, how I'm going to communicate. How alert are you to what's going on around you? So each of these factors can be a strength that makes you alert in a certain way. It also can be a handicap that blocks how much you can function in another way. So Mercury tends to, because it's here's the sun in the chart, Mercury's there. It's not as dramatic to see it as Mars or Saturn or the outer planets, but it really has its important presence. And how can you bring up a kid or relate to someone without having a sensitivity to the way one thinks and processes, not just random? There is processes and a style that works for people in different ways, and thank goodness people think differently. It makes the world interesting. Okay, so let's see what we get to here. Now we have the seasons, which we talked about already, the daylight increasing, nighttime. So this slide is out of place, but we did this already, the 4 seasons, the social winter. Here's all the things going on, but one day I'm going to get a bit more free. So, and the mind is going to think like that. Then the springtime, then the summer, then the fall. So, and the coloring, just the colors there to just reinforce the colors, how they affect the mind. But I don't think I need to spend more on it. What I want to go next to is so you have the daylight increasing, nighttime increasing, daylight is greater, nighttime is greater. Then you have to mix them together as the 4 seasons to see the 4 options. And then you see you get a certain style by there. And then you see whether you project it or reflect it by the masculine and feminine. Am I going to project this conflict? Am I going to reflect on it? You're seeing very behavioral things of how someone socializes or makes sense or communicates. Now, when you get to the modes, where you have cardinal, fixed, mutable, you have the driving, pushy cardinal signs, each one different and stressful to the other. And then you have the fixed, determined, stubborn, tenacious signs. Then you have the very adaptable, mutable, perceptive, manipulative signs. So once we get to here, we're going to start seeing the embellishment of how these, if you got the initial factor of the daylight greater, nighttime greater, increasing, decreasing, the season, and you got that seasonal factor solid, and then you start seeing projecting it or reflecting it, wow, you start saying, oh, look at that. And the observing of it is far more lucid than any words you can even come up about it. But when you get to here, it adds more. The cardinal, the fixed, or the mutable. Do you have a pushy mind? Are you always interrupting people? Are you always pushing things? Are you trying to force your ideas out? Do you have to act on your ideas? I have to do something with this. So there's a driving quality to the mind. But there's 4 different ways of driving. The Aries is just acting on one's ideas. They're going to drive to push further, follow this idea. I'm going to go, hey, this is fun, I'll go do this. Hey, I'll try this, I'll go for this. Oh, that's smart, I'll make that happen. You know, so they're going to try and push their ideas into action. They're going to, and they'll be impulsive but forceful. Don't get in my way, don't stop me from, even if I'm wrong, don't stop me. That's the thinking of the Mercury, but that's going to be hard to sit in the classroom to listen to other people. In the Cancer, the Mercury is going to be so sensitive and imaginative, but it's still going to push its sensitive ideas, its personal judgment, its reflective, personal judgment, its feminine judgment of what's sensitive and what's not. It's going to make that predominant. And so if it's positive, project out its ideas and its feeling about its ideas, of its feelings, of its mom, its feeling, what's secure. Or when it's negative, it's going to implode on these judgments. My mom didn't like me, or I didn't like this. It's still going to have an effect to the mom that can be negative, but you're still going to process that and try and make something from it. So someone with a Mercury in Cancer can have a great imagination, be lost up in difficult feelings and in the past and in memories, and they may have to push to express themselves to overcome that shyness or reserve. But when they do, they will really grow. And they have to do it for themselves. They can't do it because you're telling them. They have to find the place in themselves to bring that up. They have to feel secure enough to express themselves. When you have it in Libra, the Mercury in Libra, that's the social place. Hi, how you doing? Do you like me so far? Do you think we're in a relationship? Do you think we can be, are we sharing things or we're not? It's trying to be pleasant, trying to be appreciated, trying to share ideas. And it wants, really, the Mercury in Libra wants to do, we're in a relationship, this is what we should be doing, this is where we're going, here's where the team is. It sees the vision of where we're going. So the Mercury in Libra is trying to think for the partner and guide the partner. Mercury in Aries will have none of it. But the Mercury in Libra, it's inclined to do that. Sometimes you have to learn to control. You can't always do. Sometimes other people want to think they're leading. But it's the blind spot. It's the strong suit. These are the pushy. Each of these will have a pushy relationship to their mind and be trying to prove something. I can, oh, you should be doing that. Oh, no, that's not a good thing. Do both like this. And, whoa, Aries doesn't want it. Cancer will take it personally. Why would you be telling me that? They're not even listening to me. You know, so like these will struggle with each other, but that even the struggles can bring intelligence. But they can bring a lot of, the minute you get angry or mad or wrong, like the minute it gets off alertness or clarity, it starts being biased in embellishing these factors in a negative way. But you can see what standards you have to bring someone back to communicate, or what standards to reach someone. If you're talking about an autistic kid and they had their Mercury in a cardinal sign, you'd be trying to get them to play with a game or interact with a game or do something rather than just sit and listen. So they have to discover how to act on their own ideas. So when you have it in Capricorn, it's the most socially sensitive. It's more aware of how other people are thinking, and it often thinks, I'm different, I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not going to, I don't think like this. It's going to be much more reserved and aware of how everybody's thinking around them and how that's not them, that's not them. Then they're going to be thinking, but they're still thinking and they're planning, so it's a much more strategic Mercury. It's not a bubbling way. It's a much more strategic, cautious, slower Mercury, but it's not unambitious. It may not speak very much, but it'll think enough to write the book. Once it gets its book, then it will talk because it's got authority. So it wants to speak with authority. But usually it has to run into all the people who are in authority, who are speaking and want to be respected before it can get it. Okay. So these are all just little idiosyncrasies of differences, but they're actually in process and in life, they're huge, vast differences. These can be embellished and increased. So if you're doing someone's psychoanalyzing someone, or you're trying to write a biography of someone, wow, you can get these themes and see them on so many layers of how it keeps flourishing, that your whole understanding of life will change just by being able to see how people use their mind differently. And if someone's really negative, kid's really angry or something like this, you can see how how could they think like that? How could they, and they're trying to blot out their mind or whatever, and it starts impeding their judgment on other things. We still can see the way to reach them. You see, they process like this, how am I going to reach that? With a little bit of work, you can figure it out. This is real therapy. So it could be argued that psychology without astrology is almost like black magic. It's almost like cultivating relationships that go on forever without really working with who the person is themselves. So the fixed signs, they're not going to change. They're going to get an idea. They're going to think of a certain way, make a judgment, and they'll hold it, and they'll hold steady to it forever. Now there's two reflective fixed signs and two projective ones. So there's a mix of them, but there's 4 stubborn, determined thinking. Don't tell me how to do. They'll have difficulty adjusting to new ideas. Or they'll have to use them themselves. Or once they've got them, you don't expect them. Once they picked up an idea, don't expect me to change. Okay, now everything changes in time. But these are the signs that are going to resist the change. They're going to be using they're going to know what they know in their own way and hold on to it. They're going to have a matter of fact, not always matter of fact, but they're going to have their judgments and the way they think and what they decide will be very firm, structured, or very inhibited. If they feel my judgment will never fit in, everyone else is going around, they can be very introverted, but still it's going to be hard for them to change their mind. So that resistance to other people telling you to think differently, that's with all of these signs. This is how I think, this is how it's got to be, and it builds up that in a more independent way with the Taurus and the Leo, in a more social way, fixed. Here's a judgment with Scorpio or Aquarius. I'm in this team, I'm with this group, I'm with this person, we're thinking this, we're doing this business, we've got this plan, we've made the commitment, we're going on it. The mind tends to think on that. If you get, you hurt me, you didn't try, you're not trustworthy, how could you do that? What that judgment in a Mercury and Scorpio. The negative sides can come up and you can stay in a judgment for years. I'm always amazed. I make a judgment about some idiot or somebody who hurt me, and I got thousands of them if I want to pull them up. But how I make a judgment, I'll live in that judgment for years before I even try and change. They were just like that. That was wrong. You know, it took me 20 years to forgive my first wife, to realize I might have had something to do with how we split up. You know, then forgiving your mom and dad are like, it's so easy to go around judgments. So I had to fight over negativity, and astrology allowed me to go into those judgments and see it in a different way. And I mean, I'll always be working on it. I'm always kind of stubborn in what I know, but it's good for research, this Mercury and Scorpio. I won't give up on something. So I had to get experience to know what I was doing. That was the drive and the determination. But my parents wanted me to go chemistry and math, which I started, and then I left school then I studied more since I left school, just studying astrology and mystical things against the judgment of others, thinking eventually I won them over, most of them. But so there's so many different things that can happen. Mercury and Taurus, it's going to have, I like this, no, this is what I want, this is how I'm liking, this is how I'm thinking, I can see this, I can see it that way. But when it comes to learning new things, these fixed signs are going to be a little slow. Determined, but they'll take time. They have to do it in their steps, in their own way of thinking. It's a kind of plodding, tenacious, fixed mind. So if you're getting your own thing going, you're going to be very consistent with it. If someone's fighting with it, you're going to be difficult to change your ideas. Wow, that's very different than the angular signs that are pushing their ideas and push it. If it doesn't go with something else, but they're still going to go next time. This is trying to build up stability, build up security in their way of thinking. So a degree might do that for someone, knowing certain things, but as it builds up its knowledge base, it's going to be fixed. This is it. And there's a tendency to think everyone else must think like that, or they're idiots. But this, you see, and you'll see these, as soon as you see, I got this, and you start relating to other people, if you got a fixed Mercury, you're going to know you're thinking more practically, more fixed than most other people around you. And then when you meet someone else who's fixed and got different judgments, then they'll always be like that, and it's going to be a clash. But if someone's thinking the same as you and they're both fixed, it's like, whoa. It can be a competition, or it can be a really good affirmation. But you're not going to change your perspective easily. If you like a teacher, don't like a teacher, a boss, don't like a boss, the way you talk to your kids, or the way things, just the way you process, how you stay alert. There's a need to have the mind stable and fixed. And when it's not, these signs will be much more unstable. Like if you're not fixed in your thinking and it's changing, you're going to be very insecure in your thinking while that process is going on. So the timings in life, when we get to the transits, they'll tell us when these periods come up in a lifetime, when we're insecure, when we're not. And the cardinal, fixed, immutable, see, a cardinal sign will always push to make something happen. So if there's a crisis coming up, they'll be forcing, let's get over it, let's deal with it. They'll be pushing to deal with it right away. The fixed signs will say, wait a minute, not just that, wait a second, hang on, let's slow down, let's see if we can hang in here. So they're going to be trying to delay it or maintain the way it is. The mutable signs, there's got to be another way, there's got to be another way. They're going to be really adapting to many different ways and always taking different ways. It's totally different processes, and therefore different ways that one feels that one would learn in, or different ways that each person would be threatened in their mind or insecure in their mind from.